welcome to anyone who is new. In case you did not tune in to our other episode on when you're not afraid of shame, you forgive those who are. Let me give you a little recap just in case. So, for one, the 5D mystic here is in the 5D. I use the word, it's Christ consciousness. So, quotations on anything and everything. We use words to create concepts, not in a dictionary format. So if you're a rigid person with words, you don't want to stick around because we're not rigid with words. The mindfully aware, spiritually aware, and so a person who is completely having a good time, this is who we are here. Okay, so I'm trying to be as straightforward as possible. Self-help is for self-empowered people. It means you own yourself. You might be considered a gossiper, but you don't gossip with the intent to ridicule people, to shame them, to blame them, to fault them. You don't have any of that envy, jealousy, spite. Those are all the facades that have people that don't go to therapy. So they have rejection, abandonment, injustice, betrayal, humiliation, and shame. That's why they have shame. They didn't go get it healed. They're on a journey with a bunch of other people, and they're going to be very much, I'm going to give you the gist. This victim, I'm a superhero with a supervillain. So every now and then they turn into the angry squirrel from Cusco land, and that's completely porous boundary person who could use Terreal, but they don't. They don't even know about Terreal. Okay, so they know about devils, demons, Lucifers, and they call 5D mystic names, Akashic record reader names. They make fun of tarot and quantum physics. I just have so many stories. So there's a bunch of people, they just do this deflection business with everything that's their insecurity, and they don't go to heal their childhood wounds. Okay, so we forgive those who are leading what is essentially not because of polysecure. You don't have to be, you could be monosecure, but basically when you meet a person who has not the safe haven secure based capability, they will not know how to regulate their own nervous system. So they're not their own inner nurturer. They don't know that they default to their reflexive insecure defense mechanisms. So they could make use of a therapist to get their authentic needs, guidance on how to get their desires. Yeah, but then they don't. They do the mantles of mental health and the mantles of spirituality. So that's why we have all those bypassers. Yeah. And so they don't know themselves better. They follow Peter Pan's, and they're all lost boys, lost girls, lost days because they didn't get securely attached. They didn't go to therapy. They said, bullshit, that new shit that's out there. Or they prance around with it in their mouth, but they, again, have a lot of charges. You'll notice if you are silencing people, shouting at them, insulting them, and you don't know how to handle yourself with social engagement system, then you don't know restorative embodiment, self-awareness. That's what I'm at. I'm restorative embodiment, self-awareness. Self-help is for people who want to be here. If they're still wanting to be in their sympathetic, modulated, embodied self, then they won't want to be here. They don't forgive. They want to be in a therapist room, but they'll say, no, I want to stand around with my modulated embodiment. So, okay. So insecure attachment people, they will not know self-attunement. They could learn to truly self-regulate, self-soothe, rather than turn to distractions, deflection, or avoidance. So again, when people have envy, jealousy, spite, shame, blame, fault, revenge, they're not ready for mindful living or spirituality life, and we forgive them because we know how hard it is for them to head over to a therapist to get the emotional body completely online, to stick to therapy for a certain amount of years, no shortcuts, like a long-term thing, and then grieve. They continue to grieve, and instead of projection with the trauma stuff, they continue grieving until they're ready to forgive. So once you're ready to forgive, then you're done with therapy because you have consistently continued to grieve. You empower yourself, then you have justice. And like Patrick Tiahan, he's a great childhood trauma survivor. I say healed and healing, and he's a therapist. And like he says, it's a process. So if we ever want to, we'll forgive. Okay, so here at IHP, we inspire human potential. And that is why all people, we're here for all people. The therapists are there for the people who have the will to go save themselves. And so once they have been saved and they're securely attached. They know how to enjoy the world and how to enjoy emotions and not do like this Zen master, which he has laundry, so he's still using his temporal junction. Okay, so here's where the gist of what we discussed. As I told you all, it's a stream of consciousness with a bunch of different cards, but I'll just read to the end of it. For the spiritual or mindful, self-empowered person or mystic, there is no need to shame, blame, fault, or be hostile towards others based on different belief systems, lifestyle choices, the use of their words, the use of any of the words, or different political and religious views. These shouting, silencing, or insulting mannerisms, those come from groups of people with low emotional and mental intelligence, in reactivity with a dysregulated and modulated embodied self, which need not be emulated. We do not replicate that which is low emotional, mental intelligence dysregulation. We are safe haven, secure base. So it means you know how to self-regulate in the moment with restorative embodiment. Okay, so just FYI, integration of brain. So we don't repeat and replicate what is happening in the body of a person who's actually dysregulated and in their sympathetic, which is distress. So they're stressing out their body. They're in their brainstem. They're in a attach, cry, collapse, submit, please appease. They're in a biological rudeness. You're going to notice because there's red and yellow, and I've noticed both. You got a Cusco in town. If you don't have a Cusco, you got a squirrel in town from Cusco land. That's structural dissociation. And at that point, you just pause and you wait. And then you continue. And yes, experience right here. Okay, so in moments where we're interacting with people who are interacting with us, in the absence of this, they don't know how to be the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, mindful person. They're not a pacha. We, on the other hand, will be able, spiritual or mindful might you be, again, mystic or not, to bring forth our equanimous stance. It means my restorative embodied self, as I'm in my prefrontal cortex and I'm present. So I'm in the now. I have no low self-esteem whatsoever. I have no shame button. That's why I'm not ashamed of Maria. You can keep using your words. They don't insult me. As a teenager once, I'm a 44-year-old woman now, and I already had healthy self-worth back then, which is why I know this. I chose it on purpose. Jesus gave me the option. I said yes, and then I continued. And so you find a 44-year-old woman who just didn't say, hey, God, I turned my back on you because all these people are unkind. I said, no, God, I don't turn my back on you. Actually, hey, God, I didn't see a devil anywhere. Nope, I don't see this evil monster that they've been talking to me about in church. I did notice, however, that they keep using your name, and they're not kind. So I don't want to say they're monsters, because I know they're my brothers and sisters. And today, as a 44-year-old intellectually savvy human being, I know exactly who they are. And that's exactly why we want to empower people to know the difference. If you're healthy, self-worth, then you're going to not fall for it. If you're not, well, I don't need to explain, because that means that you're not ready to see the insecurity yet, and that's called the insecure person will deflect. And then they will do, oh, I'm a superhero and they're a supervillain, and I bet. And then that can be from in here. It's called implicit bias, explicit. You're a 4-year-old, 14-year-old, who knows? But what it is to me, an empowered person who's talking to you authentically, it's a facade. So the gossip is the most smallest of energies, including shame. It's at the very bottom of the enlightenment. There's a scale. So you'll know what scale if you are of the 5D collective, and you'll know how easy it is to vibe in enlightenment if you're ready for HP. If you are ready for HP, it's because you're ready to be yourself and to do emotions. And that's why speaking our truth is really fun with intimacy. So shame is a 20. In the miserable and hell, guilt is blame, evil. So we're not ashamed or afraid of people in general. I know there's a lot of different options that people get throughout their lifetime to choose to become the life that they could and that they had decided to come here to be. But, you know, it is what it is. Some people, they don't want to. It's just too hard to go to good therapists and wait that they get all the way through empowerment and justice to then talk to us about self-empowerment. So it's, again, stories. So storytelling, we will get to that in a second part. I think I want to keep it short because this one's a really good one. But remember that whenever you are faced with people who are insecure, they don't know how to smile inside. And so I'm happy that they have this gossip business to return to so that they can, with people who are just as insecure as they are, have a good time as they play the victim card with each other and the facade card. And in the meantime, I, as a cultured person, know that the fact that they find it hard to believe that the first is alive mean anything. Well, again, I'm the stupid lady. It's what they call the feminines. All the feminines out there, the true ones, we know who we are. Because we will always have said, you're beautiful just the way you are. We don't lie. There's one thing a person who's a child inside and doesn't have shame is we don't lie. So when someone calls us a liar, it's going to be heartbreaking, but you're going to learn. My teenage boyfriend, he shared with me everything. So when I got to get older and got mystic powers, yeah, I wasn't surprised by any of the other stuff. I just didn't think that people. But see, that's the part. When you become a person with clairs, you're not aware that the people of your oversoul, they have that journey too. So it doesn't matter that they're part of your oversoul. As you're going to always think, not highly, you're going to know how much potential person has in front of you, because a feminine will see that. And so you will have remembered who they are, you see? That's why you remember the infinite potential of the essence of every person you meet if you're a feminine, the way that I come to you with my mysticism, which is why it was more of, wait a minute, but I know there's more to you than what you're showing me, and that you can become anything and everything you want to be. That's the beauty about being a mystic and a feminine. So we don't grow less loving, and we don't have sadness in letting go of the ones who don't welcome their self back home, because the sad business is they don't welcome anything back home. And again, there's Patrick Tiahan and other great therapists for people who do want to welcome themselves back home. So it's nice to have you here. If you are going to return to our next episode, thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and see you in a little bit.